Welcome to the Scars of Heart channel, and invite you to watch our new video featuring our original story. Mom. Milana's face was beaming with happiness. I'm getting married. The girl held out her hand, showing Marina a sizable diamond on a thin white gold band, a perfect example of immodest minimalism. Wow. Marina whistled, pushing her glasses up her nose, as if wanting to get a better look at what was already so striking. What news? A nice ring. Can you imagine? Milana deftly shed her fur coat, pulled off her boots, and, laughing, ran to hug her mother. Her eyes sparkled and her cheeks were flushed. It was like a fairy tale. Philip got down on one knee, looked me straight in the eyes, and then I said, "Oh my God, I still can't believe it. He's such a romantic. Guys are rarely like that these days." And he didn't even hint at it. He just invited me to dinner as usual. We chatted about all sorts of nonsense, and then he suddenly fell silent and got up from his chair. "Mommy, I'm so happy. Grandpa, I'm so happy for you." I stroked my daughter's blonde hair. "Marina, really? Don't you think you're rushing into marriage a bit? You've only known Philip for a short time. You've only been dating for a couple of months. You know the saying, haste makes waste." "Mom, you're always so conservative," the girl grimaced. "True love doesn't care about timing, but Philip and I love each other. It's fate. You know, like you and Dad. And by the way, you got married a month after you met? Milanka, Dad and I had completely different circumstances." "What different ones?" "You also fell in love and decided not to delay, right? Dad often told me how he came to you on a horse with a bouquet of wildflowers. He immediately knew you were his destiny, and even if he hadn't rushed to propose, he would have simply taken you away. Someone else. Of course, he was completely different then. There was no money, no company, and you were a young nurse in a provincial hospital, not the director of a private clinic. You grew up, got rich, raised me, but your feelings have not gone anywhere. Find another couple like that. So many years together, and you still love each other. Not just love." The mother laughed, probably even more loudly than before. "Yes, I was lucky, I admit. And your dad was lucky. Maybe you're right. It's true destiny. But believe me, meeting your soulmate is rare luck. We took a risk, without thinking about anything, and won. But before I met your dad, I had already experienced more than one unsuccessful relationship, and each time I also thought that it was all love, forever. It's very easy to make a mistake, my daughter, especially if the guy is handsome and showers him with compliments. A woman's heart is so structured that it's easy to deceive. But my dad, he's completely different. I only saw him for the first time. He came to help his grandfather at the dacha, injured his arm, and ended up in our first aid station. I immediately knew I wanted to be with this man for the rest of my life. But how did you figure it out?" "My heart told me." "I know. You're also thinking right now that your heart is whispering the same thing, that Philip is your true soulmate. And I won't try to dissuade you. I'm just giving you some advice. Don't rush. You can always get married. Live together for a year or two. Get used to each other. Everyone has their flaws. Right now you're in love and you don't want to notice them in your boyfriend. Of course, he's handsome, smart, has good potential, and besides, he courts you beautifully, swearing eternal love. But everyone goes through this, and only a few stick together, because the haze of infatuation settles, and it turns out that your beloved snores, leaves his socks lying around, goes to bed, or wakes up at different times than you. He has his own interests, friends you can't stand, but he definitely wants to spend a couple of hours with them on a weekend. And you have all of this too. As Mayakovsky said, the boat of love crashed into everyday life. Look how many people get divorced after a year, after 10, and some even after 50, although this is rare. Routine and everyday life tend to erase feelings, weaken them. I'm not saying that you will definitely get divorced or I'm trying to talk you out of getting married. You love me wonderfully, but let your feelings stand the test of time. But we haven't been dating for a couple of months, actually, but for 6 months. Milana wrinkled her nose. Isn't that enough? 6 months. Not a long time, but not a lot either. But you didn't live together. These are such wonderful times. People have the opportunity to live together outside of marriage. In the old days, for something like that, they would practically have been burned at the stake, cursed by the whole world. But now everything is very simple and convenient, without any judgment. What is this cliche to you? Just a formality. Yes, I agree. From a legal perspective, it offers many advantages, but from a purely human perspective, when the baby is born, you can calmly sign the marriage certificate, but now it would be better to get to know each other better. I understand that very often we mistake things for love that are not love at all. Are you trying to say that I don't know what I feel? Not at all. You are in love, and that's a fact. And Philip, probably, too. Probably. Well, I can't get into someone else's head, much less their soul. I don't even know your boyfriend, only from what you say and the photos on social media. You've been together for 6 months, and he didn't even come to meet us. It's not about Philip at all, Milana was embarrassed. I'm the one stopping him. You, Marina was surprised. But why? Are you embarrassed in front of me and Dad? What nonsense, the girl blushed. It's just that Philip still doesn't know who my father is. When we met, there was somehow no time for it. And then I'm afraid that he will be afraid of Dad. Philip is a simple guy, without rich parents but with big ambitions, and I don't want everyone around to gossip that he is with me only for the money. And his friends don't know who my father is. I thought it was better to confess everything after. So, you are testing your feelings after all. Marina narrowed her eyes. Good job. Only it's not the best decision to lie from the very beginning. But I'm not lying at all. The girl was indignant. I just didn't say. And that's it. Philip thinks that I am from a simple family. I told him that my mother is a doctor and my father is a construction engineer. That's not a lie. I just didn't mention that you own the Tree of Life clinic and your dad has a construction company. Anyone would be scared of parents like that. Ordinary people think that if you're from a wealthy family, you're a crown on your head, but my relatives are all sharks and harpies. Philip, on the other hand, achieves everything himself. He studied to be a lawyer. By the way, he got into the university on a state scholarship, works, and is growing. His only other child is his mother, and she lives in another city and teaches history at a school. He's a good man, Mom, honestly, and you'll definitely like him. And anyway, I'm not rushing down the aisle right now. Yes, he proposed, but we haven't decided on the wedding date yet. So, don't rush, Marina hugged her daughter. There's plenty of time. It's winter now, not the best time to get married. And by summer, you might have thought it all through. I should probably tell Dad too. Oh, Milana shuddered. Maybe we shouldn't do it yet? If you reacted like that, he'll start lecturing me about early marriages, wallet hunters, and so on and so forth. And let him lecture you. What are you saying? Your father is a wise man, and he's a very good judge of character. Besides, he didn't object when you told him you were dating Philip. He'll get into a fight, I'm sure of that. And, like me, he'll try to persuade you to take things slow. And Vlad will insist on meeting you, and he has every right to do so. Think about it. To marry your only daughter to a stranger. Even if your love is stronger than that of Peter and Fevronia themselves, Vlad cares. You are his heir, his blood, and your husband must be a worthy man. Do you think Philip is not worthy of me? How should I know? Marina threw up her hands. Introduce him. We will understand. But even if we don't like him, do we have the right to limit you? Don't tell Dad yet, but don't delay. You need to pluck up the courage and tell him. Just think it over carefully first. Yes, you already agreed, but if your Philip is a reasonable person, he won't be upset at all if you ask for a little more time. Live together for a while. I'm moving in with him tomorrow anyway. Marina smiled. So, I'll start packing today. And fine, so be it, I'll tell Dad everything today. You're right. There's no need to fear his anger. We've always understood each other well. I don't like this idea. Vlad put the book down and looked at his wife. Marina, well, the girl is only 20 years old. What marriage? Milanka is studying. She hasn't even started her journey yet. So why didn't you tell her then? Your strict and uncompromising no. The woman narrowed her eyes. Compared to you, I acted like a real tyrant. I started telling her that they were in a hurry, that they needed to get to know each other better. And you seemed happy. What kind of tyrant are you? Vlad laughed. You said everything right, but Milana doesn't understand anything about this life yet. Well, if I forbid her, then what? Then she'll do everything out of spite. Before we know it, she'll already have a stamp in her passport. And then tomorrow she'll move in with her Philip, and they'll start living together. A wedding is a long and expensive affair, and as I understand it, this boy wants to pay for everything himself. Commendable. They're still intoxicated with each other. They'll plan. They'll quarrel to smithereens. You'll see. And then, maybe, they'll think about the feasibility of their plan. No, I'm not saying that. Maybe everything will happen the other way around. Without what kind of relationship is this? Things haven't always been smooth sailing for us. If their union is ruined by the first argument, Milanka will only thank us for dissuading her from the wedding. And if she holds out, it's advice and love. It bothers me that she didn't tell him anything about us, Marina frowned. What's there to tell? Vlad stroked his wife's hair. Milana's not stupid. She's in love, yes. But she's not a fool. And she understands perfectly well that young men have become less sophisticated these days. Who would refuse a rich bride with a respectable husband? Her concerns are entirely justified. She simply wants to test her lover. It's one thing to tell a naive third-year philology student that you want to achieve everything yourself. It's quite another to say this to a girl whose father owns a controlling stake in one of the most successful construction companies in the city. Just think how many guys were after her simply because they knew who her father was. Yes, just mention Vladislav Lebedev's name and the applicant's eyes immediately light up with dollars. Remember Mishka Savelyev? What a persistent guy. He kept swearing his love to Milanka, but he was only aiming for a position at my company. He thought if he got his hands on the daughter, he'd get to Daddy. It would be easy. And this Savely was downright brazen. He laid out his entire business plan for me right away. He said, like daughter, your wife isn't a beauty, you understand, and her chances of marrying for love are slim. But for convenience, please no, just think about it. According to his calculations, he'll marry her and immediately start multiplying my capital with his stupid projects. And where do people like that come from? Well, at least Milanka was smart enough not to reciprocate their feelings, Marina laughed. But this Philip seems like a completely different breed. According to his daughter, they truly love each other. I don't think he knows who her parents are. To him, she's just a girl. Not the most beautiful, but bright and cheerful. She doesn't advertise her status, is friends with ordinary guys from university, and doesn't flaunt her wealth. She doesn't even buy designer clothes for herself, although she can afford them. She takes public transport or a taxi, even though her car is parked in the parking lot. From the outside, she looks like an ordinary girl, like thousands of them. But Philip was chasing her. If Mila had been with a stunning beauty, it would have been clear the guy was interested in her looks. If he'd known who you or I were, he'd have been chasing status or money. But maybe they really are serious. How did you know I was your destiny? The whole world just suddenly disappeared, and in the center of this emptiness there was only you. Vlad closed his eyes. I looked at you, not hearing any sounds, not noticing anything around me, and in that very moment, it was as if a whole movie was playing before my eyes. I saw our wedding, our family, our home, our future life, and I realized that I can't let you go. It's now or never. And you know the rest. Of course, Marina laughed. He found a horse somewhere, galloped to the hospital on it, and even picked some flowers along the way. You're an incorrigible romantic, Vladik, but it's such a miracle. And I just knew that you would come one day. I saw you in a dream. And when you showed up in the doctor's office with a bloody hand, I recognized you right away. And you didn't tell me this. Vlad was surprised. Really? She probably thought you'd just laugh. You're not superstitious. What does superstition have to do with it? So it turns out we really are made for each other. Maybe Milanka feels something similar for Philip, which is why she so easily agreed to his proposal. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm supposed to be a rational person, and like any normal father, I should study this guy thoroughly. Even I'd like to threaten him so that, God forbid, he doesn't hurt my girl. But when it comes to our daughter, I can't just think in my head. I was so glad to see her so happy and content today. And we'll always have time to get to know each other. Don't worry. Let them stay for a month, and then we'll drop by to visit them. You're right. Marina kissed her husband again. As always. God, I so want our girl to meet a worthy man along the way. You and I are so lucky. We had nothing. But thanks to each other, we have everything we could dream of. God, I hope things work out even better for our girl. Milana had been living with Philip for a couple of weeks now. Marina couldn't get used to the fact that her daughter's laughter no longer rang in the house. Out of habit, the woman cooked breakfast for 3, catching her husband's mocking glances. But her soul was uneasy. Even though her daughter kept calling, praising her fiancé, Marina still sensed something was wrong. Calm down already, Vlad sighed. What are you doing, like a hen nesting? Your daughter's grown up. She has her own life now. They'll figure it out themselves. Is she happy? They've had it. What else do you need? Why are you so calm? Marina persisted. And what should I do, in your opinion? Hire a private detective to look into all the ins and outs of our future son-in-law. It makes sense, but it smacks of paranoia. You must respect Milana's choice. She's not a girl anymore, but a grown woman. Yes, she may not have any experience yet, but how can she gain it if not through practice? Let them live. Especially about the wedding. While she's silent, it means she's not in a big hurry. She has exams coming up, and then another semester. Not before the wedding. The main thing for her is that Philip announced their engagement. Just like with Americans. After the engagement, they live together for 2 years. Get used to each other. Get to know each other. It's almost on an official level. A ring on your fingers is not a guarantee of marriage. It's a reason to get closer. To test out, so to speak, family life in test mode. But we're not Americans. Marina was indignant. What scares me is that she's not at all. You shouldn't be scared of anything. Vlad hugged his wife. People fall in love and get married. That's normal. Even if it doesn't work out, it will still be good for Milana. She's young, she'll quickly forget about failures, and she'll be more careful in choosing men in the future. It's experience, after all. Darling, don't worry. And anyway, stop thinking about the bad. Where do such thoughts even come from? My motherly heart tells me. Marina sighed. A mother always senses when something is wrong. And right now, I'm just beside myself. What if he's some kind of freak? They're good at cultivating their victims. Someone like that can convince a woman for years that he's perfect, and then he lets her go. And how are we supposed to understand that? By your logic, even if they just live together for a couple of years, it still won't protect our daughter from a tyrant. And that's true. So I won't let anyone hurt Mila. Just know that. But you shouldn't go to extremes either. Maybe you should hire a private detective? At least we'll know who we're dealing with. Marina looked at her husband pleadingly. If Philip isn't stupid, then not a single living soul will guess what's in his heart. Vlad sighed. Well, I'll hire a detective. What next? He'll just watch what the guy does, who he meets, where he goes, dig up his credit history. Any criminal records, if any. That's something. Please. Vlad. Okay, I'll hire him, the man gave in. But keep in mind that if Milanka finds out about our affairs, she might be very offended, especially if her Philip is as pure as glass. And let me take full responsibility. Marina kissed him on the cheek. But the detective hadn't dug up anything. Philip seemed like a model man, 27 years old, the last 3 of which the guy had worked as a lawyer in a reputable firm. Several won cases, a couple of misses in obviously losing cases, no loans, no criminal record, no administrative offenses. He even always made his rent payments on time. His friends were all lawyers, many from his student days. He maintained friendly relations with his ex-girlfriends after work, always going home to Milana. Polite, well-mannered, sociable, his mother was a history teacher in a provincial school. An honored teacher, his father a military man, died on assignment. A hero. Hobbies, cycling, drawing. Philip was simply a dream. At work, he was described as an executive, talented, hyper-responsible specialist. Not a single complaint, not even too perfect. There are no such clean ones, with Marina threw the detective's report before her with contempt. You know, if a person is glowing on the outside, it means they're black inside. Everything is balanced. And if he's such a saint, it's surprising he works as a lawyer and doesn't hang out on some cliff, chanting mantras and communing with higher energies. Marina, Vlad looked reproachfully, looking up from studying some document. You yourself asked me to check it. The guy is clean. Yes, it's hard to believe that in this day and age someone can be spotless, but there are always exceptions to the rule. The woman stamped her foot stubbornly. I don't believe it. My intuition has never failed me. And this time it's screaming that Milana is at risk of tying her fate to a scoundrel. And what do you order me to do? Vlad sighed heavily, addressing not just his wife, but the entire world at once. That we should hire someone to grab Philip and have a good talk with him. And how will you look your daughter in the eye then? You want Mila to hate us, and she'll do it easily. Believe me. Milana is a stubborn and proud girl, and she won't tolerate such an insult. Calm down, you're just furious, realizing that your daughter she's about to fly away from the nest. You're used to being a mother, always keeping her in sight. But children leave. That's the law of life. Then they have their own children, and before you know it, you're a grandmother. But you'll still be a mother, no matter what happens. Or maybe Marina caught her husband's sly glance. If you're so afraid that your child has grown up, maybe we should have another one? We'll have a cheerful, rosy-cheeked baby. A boy. I wouldn't refuse a boy. We're not old yet. Doctors can work real miracles these days. Once you're pregnant, you'll stop worrying about Milanka. You'll have more than enough of your own worries. And then you'll raise children together. It's a miracle. An uncle and nephew are the same age. Why a boy right away? Marina wrinkled her nose, already forgetting about Philip. Or maybe I want another girl. Even twins. Vlad laughed, picking up his wife in his arms, as he had always done for over 20 years, twirling her around like a light feather. We can afford a whole kindergarten. I've always dreamed of having a bunch of kids. Really? But listen, Vlad, if you're serious. I'm a very serious person, my dear. Or have you forgotten how everyone shakes, from the mere sound of my voice? But I would like to. Milo has grown up. I can still see her tiny feet in my hands. I remember her first word as if it were yesterday. You're probably right. I'm just worried that she's grown up. And there's still so much motherly love for me that it's overflowing, and I would gladly be a mother again. So, what's the problem? Marina's husband whispered tenderly in her ear, and now in front of her was no longer a 50-year-old serious man with eyes wise and experienced, but the same boy who galloped in on a horse with a bouquet of flowers, romantic, exciting. Milana flew into her mother's office without even knocking. Behind her, the confused face of Marina's secretary was visible. Mom. Her daughter smiled from ear to ear. Is it true? What exactly? Marina blushed, already understanding what Mila was about to talk to her about, that I'm going to have a little brother soon. Dad told you that. The woman shook her head. He promised, after all, to keep everything a secret for now. But how can he? I came home today to pick up some things, and he was glowing all over. Well, I found out from him the reason for such a she's running around the house with undisguised joy, carrying the ultrasound results. Yes, Marina grimaced. Anyway, I saw the doctor yesterday. I can't even believe we got it without any if. Of course, it's still too early to talk about the baby's sex. It's the first screening, so it's all inaccurate. We'll know with the second one. Just a month, or a month and a half to wait. Vlad, of course, wants a son, even though he says he'd be happy with a girl, but I don't care. So you're already 3 months along. Marina's eyes widened, and she remained silent. I didn't want to distract you from your happy family life. By the way, have you decided when you're planning the wedding yet? Towards the end of summer, Mila smiled. Philippe will just take some time off so we can go on a trip. We don't have enough money for a round-the-world trip, of course. We're thinking of visiting some small towns. Plios, Tarusa, Torzhok. They say it's very beautiful there, like in a Russian folktale. And there's everything for tourists. Dad can pay for your trip to anywhere in the world. No need, the girl said, embarrassed. Philip still doesn't know about you. I still haven't told him. He wouldn't take money from Dad anyway. But it's a gift. Yeah, right? It doesn't matter. We want to drive around here in the car. It's so romantic and not trivial. I see. So it turns out you're planning to introduce us at the wedding itself. Mom, you're at it again. Even if that's true, there's nothing wrong with that. Many people do that now. But I'm glad you're not against our marriage anymore. And I wasn't. Then why did you hire a detective? Milana narrowed her eyes. How do you know? Marina blushed to the tips of her ears. Dad said that too. And so Dad knows. And I thought it was entirely your initiative. Mine? Mine, the woman nodded. Vlad tried to dissuade you. Keep that in mind. Mom, don't worry. I'm not offended. I understand your concern. After all, for now I'm your only daughter. Are you worried? But I assure you, everything is completely fine. And you were right. And we shouldn't have rushed and run to the Zacks that same day. Philip agrees with you that we need to live together for a while. So here we are. It will soon be 3 months. And I really like it. We split all the chores equally. We cook in turns. By the way, Philip is a simply divine cook. He doesn't even let me mop the floor. He says I do everything wrong. In questions, he's very meticulous about cleanliness. Otherwise, we have a complete understanding. I never thought living together would be so great. But there's always someone nearby who understands you, calms you down, and listens to you. I'm happy, Mommy. Then I'm happy too, my darling. Marina hugged her daughter tightly. I'm very glad that you and Dad decided to have another child. Maybe I'll have a baby soon too. But I don't want to rush yet. I'd like to finish my studies, work a little, and then we'll see. Philip is in no hurry either. He thinks that until we get our own place, it's better not to take risks. A sensible decision. It looks like I'm worrying about you for nothing. Your Philip has a head on his shoulders. So what was I talking about? The girl laughed. Okay, Mommy, I have to go. I had a window. So I decided to drop by to see you. And now it's time to go back to class. I'll try to stop by to see you and Dad this weekend. Will you be home? You should probably call. We're always glad to see you. After her daughter's visit, Marina's heart sank again. Yes, Milana looked happy, and there was no reason to worry. But Marina, who, after the news of her during her pregnancy, she temporarily forgot her fears and worries about her daughter's fate and began to worry again. For a couple of days, she was restless, not knowing why. It's the hormones, honey, Vlad tried to reassure her. No, it's not hormones, she frowned. I know when they're going off. This is something completely different. Are you worried about Milanka again? We've discussed everything. She's happy, she's in no hurry. What's wrong again? I don't know, the woman cried. I don't know. The last time I was this worried was when my daughter had appendicitis, and the doctors wouldn't agree with me. And if I hadn't insisted, who would have known how it would have ended? And now I have a gut feeling that she's in trouble. What trouble? I want to find out. Hire a detective again. Her husband chuckled. It's no use at all. By the way, Milana knows. Apparently her darling noticed the surveillance. That's how it is. Yes, but she just laughed at me. I understand that any detective's work will be just as crude. Either Philip is really pure, which I personally don't believe, or he's hiding something. And I will find out what exactly, at any cost. And how interesting, Vlad crossed his arms over his chest. I know where he works. Marina narrowed her eyes. What a secret. It's not a secret. I'll get a job at his company as a cleaner. It's the easiest way to get access to any information I need. I'll follow him discreetly, listen to what his colleagues say about him, how he behaves when Milanka isn't looking. What, a cleaner? Vlad burst out laughing. Marina, are you crazy? You haven't held a mop in 10 years, if not more. Oh, as if that's something complicated, his wife snorted contemptuously. Let's say. But why a cleaner? Doesn't it seem funny to you? The owner of a prestigious private clinic, the wife of a prominent businessman, works as a cleaner in a shabby law firm. What if anyone finds out? They'll laugh at me. Firstly, no one will recognize me. You won't believe it, but makeup, or rather the lack of it, works wonders. Change into expensive clothes, tie your hair in a simple bun. An ordinary woman, like thousands. But in real life, I wear bright makeup. It makes people remember my image. But without lipstick and eyeshadow, I'll change beyond recognition. You're used to me like this. Others don't even know what I look like when I'm not dressed up. An image is just a mask that everyone we're used to it. I'll just try on another one. And secondly, who else can I get a job at a law firm? They're always looking for cleaners, and no one's going to ask unnecessary questions or check my resume. They'll just hire one, as long as she keeps the place clean. Besides, a cleaner is someone no one notices or takes seriously. Last year, we almost had a scandal at the clinic because the doctors were gossiping about their patients in front of the cleaner, and she went and leaked it all to the press. Okay, I managed to hush it all up. Oh, Marishka. Vlad shook his head. I never thought you were like that. I've known you for years, and this is the first time I've seen your adventurous spirit awaken. You should be a private investigator yourself, but something tells me you won't succeed. You don't believe in me? Marina was indignant. I do believe in you, Vlad laughed. But I doubt this boy will give himself away. And anyway, I doubt he's guilty of anything at all. Okay, do as you please. There's no point in stopping you, but promise me that if you don't dig up anything, you'll calm down and leave our daughter alone. I promise. Marina grimaced with displeasure. It was an easy promise, for she was confident of the success of her venture. And then, Vlad would have to admit she was right, rather than laugh at what he considered his wife's foolish attempt to expose Philip. The caretaker, with a haughty expression, opened the pantry door and glanced sideways at Marina, dressed in a simple tracksuit. Her hair was pulled back into a simple ponytail. The voluminous curls, which Marina spent at least an hour styling every day, were untouched. There was not a trace of makeup on her face. An ordinary woman in her early 40s. Still, to enhance the image, Marina had darkened the area under her eyes slightly, and the night before, she had eaten salty foods so that her well-groomed skin wouldn't look too perfect. To her great joy, a couple of pimples had also appeared on her forehead. Her nail polish had also had to be removed, and to make it even more convincing, Marina bought a pair of cheap glasses near the crossing and placed them on the bridge of her nose. "Here are all your work tools and cleaning supplies," the caretaker said. "Remember what will be included in your responsibilities?" "Yes, of course," Marina nodded. "Offices twice a day, a hallway, 2 bathrooms, emptying all trash bins at the end of the shift, dusting everything once in the morning, damp cleaning the glass. You're not listing them. I see you understand everything." The housekeeping woman chuckled. "Okay, in any case, there's a notice hanging in your office. And make sure there's no dirt anywhere. It's spring now. Of course. Of course. Then you can get started." The woman smiled indulgently. The first 2 days seemed like hell to Marina. Even though the office was small, the employees made quite a bit of litter, leaving cups of half-drunk coffee everywhere and dirtying the toilet. God, what have I gotten myself into? Marina grumbled to herself with displeasure. Oh, if my subordinates could see me now. Marina Lebedeva herself is cleaning up the mess left by the office plankton. She saw Philippe on the second day. Marina recognized him immediately. Tall, handsome, with a smug face and an impeccable suit. The guy didn't pay her the slightest attention. He seemed completely and utterly focused on his work. Several times Marina went into his office, secretly sorting through the papers on his desk. She checked the contents of the trash can. Nothing, just scraps of invalid contracts, drafts, empty cups, and other trash. Sometimes Marina eavesdropped on employees' conversations in the smoking room and kitchen. Philip was polite to everyone, joked a lot, but didn't share any information about himself. Everything was normal. At home, Vlad didn't ask about his wife's new job, for which Marina was grateful. She herself was beginning to realize that her plan had been foolish and pointless, but a woman wasn't one to give up on something. Besides, her heart told her that Philip had some kind of secret. That day, as usual, Marina went through the offices after her shift to mop the floor and empty the trash cans. Without knowing why, she lingered in Philip's office. Almost everyone had already left. The office was empty. Only a couple of women's voices could be heard from the kitchen. Marina noticed that her daughter's boyfriend's computer was still on. This was her chance. After closing the door and making sure no one could see her, she sat down at the table and began to study the contents of the folders on her desk. Contracts, deeds, forms, nothing, something special. The hard drive was the same. It was unlikely that Philip had stored any personal information there, but one folder suddenly caught the woman's attention. Favorite was written under the icon. With trembling fingers, Marina clicked the mouse, expecting to see photos of Milana in the folder. And there were photos, only they weren't of her daughter at all. It was a girl Marina completely didn't know, young, very beautiful, and dark-haired. In some pictures, the girl was alone, while in others, Philip was hugging her. And it was clear to anyone that these two were more than just friends. Of course, it could have been one of the guy's ex-girlfriends, but why on earth would he still have those photos, and on his work computer no less? Marina pulled her phone out of her pocket and took a few pictures. just in case. A noise came from the hallway. The woman winced, quickly closed everything, and jumped up from her desk. She grabbed her mop and began scrubbing the floor. "Calm down," a voice came from behind the door. The handle turned, and through the resulting gap Marina saw a silhouette. It was Philip. He was talking to someone on the phone and, apparently, he was visibly nervous. "Xenia, I ask you to be patient for a little while. That idiot Milana has no idea. And under what article would she even suspect me of anything?" Marina moved to the far corner so Philip wouldn't notice her, and turned on the recorder. He had already crossed the threshold and was nervously tapping his foot. "Xenia, I'm not going to stop what we started because of your hysterics. We agreed. I'm doing this for us," the guy raised his voice. "Did you come up with this plan yourself, or have you forgotten? So why the hell are you backing out now? I've been working on this idiot for almost a year now. Another couple of months and we'll be married. Her parents will buy us everything she asks for, and I'll ask her for an apartment, a car, anything. Do you even have any idea what kind of connections her daddy has? With his help, I'll get a leadership position. I understand you're upset that I'm with someone else, but that doesn't affect our feelings. Milana is a rich fool who's head over heels in love with me. It's even ridiculous that she's trying to hide her origins from me. She believes I'm only interested in her, without even suspecting who her daddy is. And now, you want to ruin everything? Okay then. Forget about the good life. That's different. I'll try to hurry her up. I don't know what stories her parents told her, but Milana is no longer in such a hurry, although we could have gotten married a month ago. I'm thinking of persuading her for this month, and at the same time asking her to introduce me to her parents. It's about time. I'll feign profound surprise at who she really turned out to be. No. Think about it. If I file for divorce too quickly, nothing will come of it. We need to have time to buy property so that it is considered jointly acquired during the marriage. A year? No more, I swear. Yes, a year. And what did you expect? Only in fairy tales can everything be done at the snap of a finger. I still need to gain the trust of her parents, otherwise everything will look too suspicious. I understand that you miss me. I promise. I'll come early next week. I'll tell Mila that I'm going to my mother's. She's studying anyway. She won't ask to come with me. Yes, Xenia, we'll have to play for a while longer. I'm so sorry. But imagine how we'll live together when I leave this poor woman. Half of the property will legally be mine. Even her daddy can remove me from my new position. He can't. Don't forget, I'm a lawyer, and I know the laws very well, and it will be easy to find a way to deal with him. I'm already slowly digging. Do you know how many violations his company has? Believe me, I'll just hint that I know everything. He'll try to pay off as dearly as possible. Okay, I have to go. I forgot to send documents to a client. Don't write or call me today. I agreed to spend the whole evening with Milana. She mustn't even suspect that I have someone. This is important, Xenia. Anya. Important. I love you. Marina tried not to breathe. Frozen, mop in hand, she pressed herself into the corner, listening to the conversation of the white and fluffy Felipe. As soon as he hung up and took another step into the office, he immediately noticed her. Fear reflected on the guy's face, which immediately changed to anger. What are you doing here? She exhaled noisily, looking around. Sorry, Marina mumbled. I'm just cleaning. I thought everyone had already left. Were you eavesdropping? Philip snapped. No, I'm sorry. I became an unwitting eavesdropper on your conversation, but I was just afraid to distract you. You must have had an important business conversation. Marina pretended to be stupid, quickly collecting her bucket and mop. I've already washed everything here. Idiot, Philip grumbled. Did you touch my computer too? No, I just dusted it. Get out now. I need to work, the guy hissed, grabbing the mouse. And don't come into my office in the future when I'm not here. But how am I supposed to clean then? Sorry, Marina weakened. It's none of my business, he grinned. Marina jumped out of the office, almost splashing the water. Her temples were throbbing, and her hands were shaking. That's it, the woman exulted. Caught, I knew you weren't that straight, but to do it like this is pure jackpot. Only Milana won't believe me. Never mind, I have proof. I'll tell Vlad, and then we'll figure something out. Yeah, I'll get him, Vlad flared up, having listened to a part of the recording of Philip Poggiani's conversation. How dare he? Wait, what if it's something else? Marina was confused. Other? What? You decided to dig it all up yourself, and now you're even trying to justify it. The man slammed his fist on the table. I'll tell my daughter everything right now. She won't believe it. She'll say we made it all up to dissuade her from wedding, and the recording is fake. Then I'll have a proper talk with this scoundrel myself. I'll make him forget about our daughter. Oh, wait. Milanka is calling. Marina grabbed the phone. Give it here. No, wait. Marina answered the call. Yes, dear. What happened? The woman babbled in a sugary voice. Did it happen? Milana was surprised. Nothing, why are you asking? It's just that Dad and I had a little argument, and I'm okay. It doesn't matter. Are you sure everything is okay? Absolutely, how are you? Yes, I'm fine. The girl became wary. Mom, I wanted to tell you something. Anyway, Philip insists on getting acquainted. I thought it was stupid to hide it. Anyway, tomorrow we want to come visit. Visit? Marina grinned. Well, that's a great idea. Come on, we didn't have anything planned for tomorrow. Come and we'll be glad to see you. Right, Vlad? The man looked at his wife for a long moment, not understanding what she was planning. Then see you tomorrow, Milana drawled. See you tomorrow, dear. Marina, she hung up and looked into her husband's eyes. Why are you looking at me like that? She smiled. Tomorrow we're meeting Philip. I won't let him in the door. Vlad's eyes flashed. Darling, I have a plan. Milana will figure it out herself and decide what to do next. A plan? Yes, a plan. Trust me, Marina kissed her husband. And pretend you're very glad to meet me. I can't promise that. Please, Vladek, for me and Milana's sake. Marina was beaming, preparing for the guests' arrival. The table was elegantly set, soft music was playing, candles were burning, and the woman herself was in full dress. A strict hairstyle, perfect makeup, a striking golden dress. Aren't you overdoing it? Vlad looked over all this splendor, throwing on his jacket. Everything has to be perfect. Marina smiled, straightening his tie. Let Philip think that everything is going according to his plan. I can ask the right people. This bastard will be fired on the spot. It's not worth it. Let him live as he lived, but without our daughter. I think when his plan fails, well, Xenia won't let him live in peace anyway. And when Philip realizes he's crossed Vladislav Lebedev himself, he'll most likely run away, realizing he's no longer welcome in this city. He's probably convinced you've made your fortune through gangster means. I achieved it. By the way, what violations was he talking about? I have no idea, but I ordered the auditors to thoroughly check everything so that this brat has no reason to dig under me. Even if he starts threatening me, I'll quickly put him in his place. Okay. Marina glanced at her watch. They'll be here soon. At that moment, the sound of a lock being unlocked was heard from the hallway. Play the role of the most satisfied father-in-law in the world. Marina kissed her husband's forehead. Then the effect will be much more impressive. I don't know what you're up to, but I don't like it. Marina grinned and proudly headed off to greet the guests. Vlad, a disgruntled expression on his face, trudged after her. Mommy, here we are, Milana said, tightly squeezing her fiancé's hand. Meet Philip, my love and my future husband. And these are my mom and dad. Vladislav Petrovich, Vlad extended his hand, fighting back his disgust. Philip, the guy smiled broadly, returning the handshake. And you must be Marina Nikolaevna. Wow, my dear. And you didn't tell me you had such a beautiful mother. The guy peered closely into Marina's face. Listen, have we met before? Your face looks so familiar. Hardly, Marina smiled falsely. Maybe you've seen me somewhere in the society columns? They often photograph me when they write about my clinic. The Tree of Life? Maybe you've heard of it? Exactly, the guy slapped himself. I had no idea. You'd still recognize me as the cleaning lady from your office, the woman gloated. I bet he didn't even look closely. No one ever pays attention to the cleaning staff, and it's unlikely you would have recognized me anyway. Cosmetics work wonders. Well, nice to meet you, she said out loud. How long we've been waiting for this meeting. My husband and I were always wondering, who is the lucky man who managed to win the heart of our unapproachable princess? Mom, stop it, Milana said, embarrassed. Okay, I'm quiet. Come in. Dinner is ready. Everyone sat down at the table. Philip chattered non-stop, telling how Milana had changed his whole life. He didn't ask Marina or Vlad anything, joked a lot, seemed charming and pleasant, trying to make the right impression, and I had no idea your father, Milan, was such an important person. Yeah, right, she looked at him angrily. Marina didn't think so. You knew everything, you scoundrel. You brainwashed my little one, decided to take advantage of her trust and feelings for your own vile purposes. Never mind. I'll soon expose you. Just relax for a minute. Gradually, the tension eased. At least, that's what Philip thought. Vlad was doing a great job of his role. Marina hadn't even thought her husband was such a wonderful actor. He laughed, talked about new projects, teased Milana, and inquired about how the wedding preparations were going. Looks like we were wrong to doubt you, man, Vlad said after dinner, when they left the table, and Philip began to study the collection of paintings that the Lebedevs had been collecting for many years. Wow, is that an original Shishkin? He said, wide-eyed. So you know your stuff, Vlad smiled. That's the one. I paint a little myself, Philip shrugged, but I respect the masters. True, I myself will never buy such a painting in my life. You're wrong to think that. Now you'll become related to us. I'll make a man out of you in no time. Vlad laughed. My son-in-law shouldn't waste away in a third-rate A law firm. Do you want me to hire you? We're looking for a head of legal affairs. What are you saying? Philip flared up. But Marina noticed his eyes darting around. Don't be shy, we're practically family, Vlad slapped him on the shoulder. So hard that the guy staggered. Oh God, Vladek, don't hit him. Marina bit her lip in horror. It's not time yet. I can't do this. Philip blushed. He's used to achieving everything himself. And it doesn't matter to me at all who my beloved's parents are. I love Milana, and I'm ready to do everything to make her happy. Commendable, Marina approached them. It's rare these days to meet such a principled young man. Anyone else, having learned about our situation, would immediately begin to take advantage of all the benefits that such a position in society provides. Mom, Philip is not like that. Milana took the groom's arm. I think you've already seen that. By the way, we've decided on a wedding date. Yes, and when will such a significant event take place? Vlad raised one eyebrow. Next month, Philip answered proudly. I've saved up some money. Of course, the ceremony itself will be modest, only for a small circle, but we are more no need. That's stupid, Vlad laughed. No, I have only one daughter, and I will never let the most memorable day of her life be modest. I need to invite 100 guests, journalists. It's not every day that this happens. And everyone loves Milanka. Many will simply be offended if she doesn't invite them. But she's a daughter? Dad, no need. How can you not need it? The man feigned surprise. No. No. No again. Don't worry about the expenses. I'll take care of everything. Just the best dress, a fancy restaurant, doves, flowers. What else do you need? Oh, we'll invite some trendy singer. What are you listening to now? People won't understand me if I don't throw my daughter a lavish wedding. Philip, I understand your noble impulses, but wealth entails certain obligations. Status obliges. And what do you want as a gift? Maybe an apartment? There's no need to huddle in a rented one. I'll buy you a nice 3-room apartment. They just finished building a great apartment complex, and there are some great apartments there. Or better yet, a house. Daddy, Milana. Her mother looked at her tenderly. Your father is right. I understand. You didn't want all this, but we do it with all our hearts. We must. I'll do everything possible to ensure you and your husband have everything they need. Ask for whatever you want. It will be there. We won't begrudge you anything. Philip, though he tried not to show his glee, was still struggling to cope. The guy was beaming with the prospect of instantly becoming rich. Milana was oblivious to all this, continuing to justify her noble fiancé to her parents. Maybe we should look at the photos? Marina suddenly suggested. I know, Mila hates her childhood photos, but it's tradition. You, Philip, should know everything about your future wife. It's like you two agreed. Milana wrinkled her nose. Can't we do without it? We were sitting there just fine. I don't recognize you, darling. It's not every day you meet your only daughter's fiancé, Vlad smiled. I'll bring the albums, and in the meantime, put on some nice music. I'm already tired of this jazz. Marina laughed. A minute later, she was already laying out albums with Milana's childhood photos on the sofa. Philip began to examine them with interest. Soon, Milo, her anger replaced by mercy, joined him, telling where and how this or that photo was taken. When I nod to you, please play this song. Marina whispered in Vlad's ear. I'll sit down with them now, keep the conversation going, and you press the button at the right moment, loudly saying that it was time to listen to really worthwhile music. What nonsense. Vlad was embarrassed. You'll see for yourself soon enough. His wife kissed him on the cheek and flew over to them sitting on the sofa. Oh, and Milana looks so funny here, Marina laughed loudly, pointing at one of the photos. This is a photo of them in the older group, placed in a flower bed with snapdragons. The photographer asked them to gently embrace the flower, but Milka grabbed it as if it were a guard dog. Look at her predatory face. And she's about 6 years old here. And how come you, my dear, didn't rip all the flowers out by the roots? Mom, I don't remember anything anymore. Stop shaming me. Milana laughed in response, quickly turning the pages of the album. They kept looking at the pictures. Marina noticed out of the corner of her eye that Philip was yawning. He clearly wasn't interested in what was happening, and he continued only out of politeness and the need to play his part perfectly. Oh, and who is this? Milana exclaimed, turning the next page. A smiling Zhenya, the same one Philip had spoken to on the phone the day before, was looking at her from the photo. What kind of photo was this anyway? It looked like they were filming a computer screen. And then Philip glanced at the photo and turned pale. He tried to snatch the album from the girl's hands, but she was already scrolling further. And then, there were some very interesting photos of this Zhenya. And here she is in the company of Philip. Philip, what is this? Milana whispered in horror. Where did Mom get this from? Marina smiled triumphantly and nodded to her husband. I think it's time we listen to some really good music, the man chuckled. Instead of jazz, some hissing came from the speakers, and then Philip's voice, informing his interlocutor of his insidious plan. The guy turned as pale as a sheet and pressed himself against the back of the sofa. Milana slowly turned to him and looked at him with complete incomprehension. What's going on? she babbled. "I'd like to know myself." Philip began anxiously looking for a way out. "Oh, what are you saying?" Marina nimbly rose from the sofa. "And it seems to me that everything is fine with you. You see, I recorded this conversation yesterday in your office when I was cleaning, and it was extremely unwise of you to keep photos of that girl in the favorites folder on your computer." "You?" Philip jerked. "Is that you?" "Me?" Marina laughed. "What, you didn't recognize your cleaning lady? What the hell?" The guy jumped up from the couch and tried to leave the room. "Did you really think you were smarter and had no one else?" Vlad blocked his way. "So you planned to fool our daughter and us at the same time. Well, it didn't work out for you, Guy. Let's go talk in private." Vlad took Philip by the elbow imperiously and led him out of the living room. "Mom, what's going on?" Milana rushed after them, but Marina managed to stop her. "I'm afraid I was right to be afraid for your choice." Her mother sighed bitterly. "Milo, we need to talk." Milana endured the breakup with her hapless fiancé with fortitude. She spent some time locked in her room, crying, but a couple of days later she emerged as if nothing had happened and went to school. She didn't think about Philip anymore. Marina knew he had quit his job, and he left for his hometown, where Xenia was apparently waiting for him. She made inquiries about the girl, learning that Philip and Evgenia had been dating since high school. The girl had been playing with her boyfriend as best she could. She dreamed of a good life, but it just never seemed to work out. It was never enough, even though Philip tried his best to fulfill her every whim. They had hatched a plan to fool some rich fool a couple of years ago, but a suitable candidate was nowhere to be found. Meeting Milana was no coincidence for Philip. This Xenia had once seen an interview with Vladislav Lebedev, where he talked about his family. Finding the businessman's daughter wasn't difficult. Milana turned out to be far from beautiful, lived a modest lifestyle, was single, and was the perfect candidate. Philip had no trouble fooling her. He began actively courting her, pretending to be genuinely in love. Milana, embarrassed by her parents' state, hid her true colors, which only played into the hands of her accomplices. The plan was simple: marry a rich fool, fleece her, use her father's connections to climb higher, and then get a divorce and live happily ever after. And if it weren't for her mother's heart, this plan would have had every chance of succeeding. Marina knew she was breaking her daughter's heart with her investigation, but the truth was more important, and Milana would hardly have grieved for long. Of course, it was unpleasant to be deceived, but it would have been much worse if the truth had surfaced much later. 6 months passed. Marina gave birth to a beautiful girl. They named the baby Alice. Vlad was happy. He wasn't at all bothered by the fact that the ultrasound results, promising a boy, turned out to be wrong. The man never let the baby out of his arms, and Milana happily babysat her little sister. Sometimes Marina caught hints of sadness in her eyes. Well, one day, her eldest daughter burst into the apartment, beaming with happiness. "Mom, I think I've fallen in love." The girl plopped down on the table. Again. Marina shuddered. "Just don't tell me you're getting married again." "No. What are you saying?" Milana laughed. "Now I won't do such a stupid thing again. Thank God. Although I'm always ready to conduct another investigation and drive away those who are after our family's money." "Stop it. This is something completely different," the girl blushed. "So, who's this lucky guy?" Mother narrowed her eyes. "His name is Daima. We study together. He definitely doesn't care about my money, or rather yours. His father lives in China and owns shares in some holding company. I think their family is much richer than ours. But Dimka doesn't care about fortunes. He doesn't even really talk to his father, because he's against his career as a journalist. And Dimka has already written 3 very successful books. I even brought you one to read. It's too early to talk about a relationship, but I'd be happy if something works out between us." He asked me out today. He was so sweetly shy. Dima and I usually sit together in class. He knows about my failed marriage. I thought we were just friends, it's so easy with him. But it turns out something flashed between us, and he knows everything about me, and talks a lot about himself. I'm happy for you. Milana's mother hugged her. And I'm glad you didn't withdraw into yourself after your breakup with Philip. Look forward. Enjoy my good life. And never rush. I hope this Dima is a worthy man. And I hope so. The girl smiled. A month later, she brought her knew the guy, met his parents. Dmitri turned out to be a very modest but interesting person. He immediately found common ground with Vlad, holding little Elisa with great care and trepidation, sweetly chattering something to her in a made-up language, looking at Milana laughing and the guy blushing with embarrassment. Marina saw herself 20 years ago, and Vlad. She was laughing, just like him. And he was blushing, looking at her shyly. And in the eyes of this boy, whose book, by the way, had made an impression on Marina, she saw that very feeling that everyone dreams of, but only a few achieve. Well, he's writing. The woman remarked when Dima had left and she and Vlad were alone. Milana was lulling her younger sister to sleep in the nursery, apparently sharing her secrets with the still bewildered creature. I read that book, her husband nodded, and he promised to bring me 2 more sometime. He's a talented boy, and he's got a backbone. You can tell right away, even though he's still feeling so awkward with us. Modesty is a good quality. It's just unclear how he plans to work for journalists. It would be better if he kept writing. The potential is enormous. Do you think it will work out between him and Milanka? Marina smiled. God willing. Have you seen his gaze? He looks at our daughter as if nothing else in the world exists. Just like I do with you. Both on the day of our first meeting, and only now, Milana and Elisa have joined you, my 3 beloved women, more precious than whom there is nothing in the whole world. And I see how well Milana feels with him. She doesn't try to seem like someone else in his company. She laughs like crazy. She wasn't embarrassed when she got sauce all over her blouse. Perhaps this is love, when you find someone with whom you can simply allow yourself to be natural, to enjoy every second. Vlad hugged his wife, holding her tightly. They stood for a long time, looking out the window at the traffic rushing below. And they didn't want to say anything else. Everything was clear without words. They had each other, and the whole world revolved around their happiness.